What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You are back with Speedball, and we are going over the end of the week revenue, if you want to call it money. I don't have any news, I guess. Money, we can call it money and news, or whatever you want, we guys would like to call it. Really, the only news is I would go over is the new rates have come out. It looks like dry van and flatbed and reefer all fell this week, which is kind of normal for the end of July, heading into August and into the bigger part of the year for all those trailer types and carrying types, which we expect dry van to bounce back a little bit. It looks like also diesel is moving up a little bit more, inching and creeping back up a little bit more. I think the national average when I checked this morning was somewhere around 5.31 or 5.32, something like that a gallon. So that's up about 15 cents from last week. Here in Charleston, where I'm based, and in South Carolina, here it is. I can get it for as low as somewhere around five. Excuse me, yeah, a dollar. $5.09. Somewhere, some of these places I can get it for around $4.99. It depends out here on the interstate when I get back out of Charleston a little bit, but somewhere around 5.09 to 5.15 a gallon, something like that. So I'm not hit as hard as some of the other people, but still a little bit of cost. It's gone up. It's something we're needing to figure into our costs budgets, and that's why I thought I would do this. Now, as you can see, I'm not sitting in the truck. Maybe you would expect a lot of these guys are doing these in the truck. I do it from my home office here. I'm gonna start doing these from my home office on hopefully on Wednesdays, with being back at Swift for the second time. And I hope you guys go and watch that video where I explain why I came back to Swift, why it was good for me and my family, why it made a good sense money wise to do it this way, and why it's just I think it's a good opportunity if that is what you're looking to do, especially if you're trying to get into truck ownership for the first time, or you're trying to get into a lease purchase. I told a friend actually this morning when we were texting back and forth, I told him, and as you guys know, I spent several years at Landstar, that this is probably the closest thing to Landstar that I have found um, since working with Landstar, and I haven't jumped around a lot with, you know, with signing on with different carriers and stuff like that. But even though I haven't done that, this is very similar, or I have the same feel or the same excitement about it now that I did when I bought my first truck and I leased on with Landstar. So again, guys, let me stress to you that if you are looking about getting your own truck, whether you're buying it, lease, purchase, do the right thing for you. You go on. I see you guys go on the internet. You go into these groups. You ask if this is the right thing for you to do. Guys, only you can tell yourself that. Only you can decide that, because what you get is a lot of guys that have either not been successful, and that's one of my caveats here, guys, especially with lease purchase. If you're not successful with lease purchase, or you're not successful with owning your own truck, I tend to think a lot of times it's because of your work ethic, not because something was bad with the lease, something was wrong with the carrier. A lot of times I think you guys go into these lease purchases and you say, well, I just work 3 days a week. And guys, this business just doesn't work that way. You have to run when the freight is there, period. So, but I want to give you a breakdown of what I did for the week. Now, this is going to be my third week since coming back. We'll skip the first 2 weeks. This is my third full-fledged week. I've got the numbers here. We're just going to go over them. And guys, one thing I will say this. I'm not going to talk about overhead for my company. And when I say overhead for my company, I mean things like with my LLC, I have a storage unit that I pay out of the company. I have a parking spot behind a locked gate where I have to have a key code and a gate card to get in that I keep my truck at. I don't include that because I don't know that you guys are going to do that. I don't know that you guys are going to have a storage unit in your company name. There's several things like that that I'm not including in my fixed costs per se. So when I give you these numbers, it'll only be what's to the truck or what the truck costs. Okay. I'm also not going to discuss truck payment. What I pay for my truck payment or my lease payment and what you pay for your lease payment are going to be two separate things. If you go out and buy a truck, let's say you go down to the Freightliner store and you buy a Freightliner, or you go to the Pete store and you buy a Pete. That truck payment is going to be is nowhere near or similar to what mine is, what the next guy or the next driver's is going to be. So we're not going to talk about truck payments. Okay, this is only what it costs to do business with Swift. I'm going to give you my gross revenue for the week, my loaded miles, my empty miles, stuff like that, just to give you an idea of the kind of money that I made this week and what kind of loads I did. Okay. So let me give you the loads, and you guys can see. I print off a paycheck stub to myself where I pay myself, right? And then I keep all my loads here. I ran 5 loads this week, and I'll just go over them here real quick. This is from I call it a pay period, or for the week from 7/16 to 7/28. Yeah, yesterday I had to check the date. And then on the 28th, Swift cuts their pay, and you get paid the following Monday. So that would be 8/3, so August 3rd. So the first load I ran for the week was Lawrence, South Carolina to Rome, Georgia. That load was 242 loaded miles, and I calculate miles from when I pick the load up to when I get to the load. That's what my miles, not what Swift tells you. That's the actual miles. 242 loaded miles. I pay myself $1 a mile, guys. I don't include that in my truck costs. Okay. When I give you the numbers about the truck here, that's not going to include what I pay myself, because you may not pay yourself. You may pay, in previous years, I used to only pay myself 50 cents a mile. Now I pay myself $1 a mile. That in fuel is going to be, in my opinion, the biggest cost to you is paying your driver and your fuel, right? But that was the first load, 242 miles from Lawrence, South Carolina to Rome, Georgia. McDonough, Georgia to Alachua, Florida, 282 loaded miles, $282. Jacksonville, Florida to Ladson, North Carolina, 236 miles, $236 money. Savannah, Georgia to Jacksonville, North Carolina, 358 miles, $358. Wilmington, North Carolina back to Albany, Georgia, where I ended up yesterday. 505 miles, $505. Okay. So once again, guys, keep in mind these numbers I give you, they don't include the money that I pay to the driver, which I just told you about. Don't include that, and it doesn't include the truck payment. Okay, it doesn't include my overhead cost, my fixed cost for my company. Excuse me. Gross revenue on the truck is $3,907.75. I ran 1,558 loaded miles, 409 deadhead miles, which is a little more than I like to run. I like to keep it somewhere around the 250 to 300 mile range, but I got a little bit more this week, so 409. But I say anything under 500 is a win. Total miles, 1,967 miles. Rate per loaded mile, $2.51 per mile. Okay. Now my cost, guys, for the truck, when everything's said and done, I think it's somewhere around $210 a mile, $209 a mile, something like that. So I made profit. I made a pretty good profit this week. Right? Fuel cost, $1,255 for fuel. That's what my fuel cost me. Now again, that's a variable because you may pay more for your fuel where you're at. I tend to stay here in the South and run a regional, Southeast regional type thing, so that you may pay more. That's just what I paid for the week. Truck operating expenses, $2,098.60. Net Truck profit, $554.15. That's what my company, after I paid everybody, that's what my company profited. My company, me, not Swift, me, my LLC. That's what my LLC profited for the week. Profit per loaded mile, 36 cents. Fuel cost per mile, 64 cents a mile. Now, we had already discussed the driver pay was $1,623. Swift makes you do a maintenance reserve, or depending on the truck you take, the MRP, there's a little bit difference. With the truck I took this time, I'm paying 7 cents a mile, $137.69. Your IRS 2290, you got to pay that. That's $15 a week. Communications equipment, $17 a week. The performance escrow, they take out $50 a week up into the 2000 mark, I think. Bobtail insurance, $692 a week. Collision insurance, $103 a week. I took the deductible buy down. You don't have to. That's $10. And the occupational accident, $34.62 a week. That's where we get the $2,098.60 from. Again, when you take out the $1,600, the $1,623 for the driver pay, that gives you a closer idea to what your cost for the truck is somewhere around $400, between $280 and $400, something like that, right? And then that leaves me with a profit margin somewhere around 14%. Effective revenue across all loaded and deadhead miles was right at $2, $1.99 a mile. So you guys can see, I mean, the loads are there if you want to run them with Swift now. This will be the third week that, again, like I said, that I have run. I am pleasantly surprised at the amount of freight that is out there. When I looked on the load, I had not had a day yet. Well, I take that back. I had one incident when I went to Virginia a couple weeks ago that I couldn't find a load out. But I instead of setting for the day, I did hit it out and went into North Carolina and picked up a load. So that was really the only time where I could not find a load immediately when I wanted it or where I was at. The freight seems to be there. The Swift seems to have a lot of freight, and excuse me, guys. Swift has a lot of freight out there, and it seems to be a good fit for me. Like I said, go back and watch the video where I tell you why I came back to Swift, give you all the ups and downs and whys and reasons and hows and all that. I'm going to go through that, and then of course in the future, let's if you guys want to do some load board requests, let's look up some load board requests and see how many loads are out there. If you guys have I guess we'll start doing like a money and news where we'll talk about the trucking industry a little bit. I'll try to do them here from the home office, and give you guys, continue to give you guys an idea where the money is at and what's going on over here. I think it's been a good opportunity for me to not have to go back out and put down a bunch of money on a truck. And that's what I'm saying with you guys looking to get into this business and get into getting your own truck. You'll hear a lot of guys say, just go out, take some money and go out and buy a truck. Well, that's good. That's all in good. Let's say you take $20,000 out here and you buy a used truck. Okay. Well, used trucks have used truck problems, and used trucks have used maintenance problems. And when you buy a truck and you pay cash for it, or you do whatever you're going to do with it, then you start an LLC. How are you supposed to take that truck that you have paid for off your taxes every month that you used, or every year when you do your taxes? See, with a lease truck, I can do that. I can take that lease payment off of my taxes, and it really doesn't cost me anything. So you guys have to do what's best for you. This is what's best for me right now. I didn't have to take because I'm not gonna drive around a crappy truck that I have to work on and fool with and stuff like that. And Switch is giving me another opportunity to come back, and I've got a good truck. The truck's a solid truck, and I'm just gonna the plan is right now to stay over here. I can't foresee any reason in leaving, and like I said, this is the this is the first time I have felt comfortable being back in the trucking industry, or with a new carrier, let's say it that way, because I really haven't left the trucking industry. But when I left this last local gig, I really thought I was going to get out of the trucking industry. I just thought, I've had enough. I'm at the age where I've had enough. But I'm back over here. I'm loving it. I sent my owner operator consultant is what they're called now, or what he calls himself. But he's been great. He leaves me alone. He doesn't call me. He doesn't blow me up. Unless I call him, I don't hear from him. But it's been a perfect opportunity for me, and I would absolutely tell anyone to at least try it, or at least give Michelle over in Greer a call. I will add her name and phone number to the post here, and I will add my driver code. If you guys want to use me and my driver code, by all means do that. But we'll try to do this each week. We'll call it Money and News, or News and Money, and we'll do some load board requests the next time, and we'll see you guys next time. Be safe out there.